Alright, so human motivation. It's very simple, right? Just dangle a carrot in front of what you want and brandish a stick at what you don't.
3 detentions. Leave this room and don't come back until you're ready to apologize to me.
If we just reward good behavior and punish the bad, wouldn't that get people to do what we want? Well, not necessarily. Sure, this might have been effective in the past, incentivizing the routine tasks of the industrial age. But our society has become way more complex, and our work and motivations are not so straightforward anymore.
And hey, we're not some single-minded economic robots, are we? Of course not. We're human beings with a whole tangled web of different drives and motivations.
Today, the carrot and stick method is showing cracks. Let's take a look at the 7 reasons why rewards and punishments don't always work as intended, and sometimes can even cause harm. The first is that they can extinguish intrinsic motivation. This type of motivation comes from the joy and gratification that arises naturally when engaging in an activity. In 1973, psychologists Mark Lepper and David Green conducted an experiment at a preschool that divided kids into 3 groups: those who were promised a reward for drawing, those who received an unexpected reward for drawing, and those who received no reward at all. They found that kids who expected and then received an award for drawing lost their intrinsic motivation for the activity and were significantly less likely to draw in their free time later on.
But why did this only happen to the group that were promised a reward, and not the group that were unexpectedly rewarded? This is because contingent rewards, which are usually phrased as if you do this, then you get that, usually require us to sacrifice some of our autonomy and make us think that we're only in it for the reward itself.
Imagine turning your favorite hobby, woodworking, video making, or whatever it is, into a career. Doesn't that sound awesome? You get paid to do what you love, but suddenly there are deadlines and clients, and the passion you once had starts to wane when your livelihood depends on it. Not only can rewards suck the fun out of something you've enjoyed for a long time, but they can diminish performance as well.
Another way to think about this is the common phenomenon of choking under pressure.
When you add a significant reward or punishment on top of an already challenging task, the raised stakes can lead us to overthink our actions and cause us to perform worse than normal. It's also not just performance-based activities that get affected. In fact, rewards and punishments can dramatically suppress our creativity as well. In one study, participants were given a candle, a box of tacks, and matches. Their task? Attach the candle to the wall and light it without dripping wax onto the table. But the promise of a reward for solving it quickly actually made them slower in discovering the best solution, which is to remove the tacks and pin the box to the wall to hold the candle.
Rewards can narrow our focus, hindering creativity and making it harder for us to think outside the box.
The 4th reason is that rewards and punishments can often crowd out goodwill and altruistic behavior. In Sweden, one group of women who were interested in donating blood were told that donation was voluntary and not compensated, while another similar group were promised about $7 if they became donors. Of the first group, 52% of the women decided to give blood. What's surprising was that in the second group, only 30% decided to donate. Adding the reward decreased the number of donors by almost half.
The rewards tainted what is normally a selfless act of generosity by turning it into a transactional one. Now, what about punishments? Well, they don't seem to fare any better.
When a daycare in Israel started finding parents who picked up their child late, it unexpectedly saw an increase in the number of parents who were tardy.
The fine backfired because instead of thinking that I should be respectful of the teacher's time, they now think I can buy extra time.
The numbers sound really big, 1 billion, 3 billion, 13 billion, but for a lot of companies, that's just the cost of doing business. Makes you wonder, do fines really matter?
This leads us into the next reason. They can tempt cheating and other unethical behavior.
In particular, rewards that depend on short-term, measurable goals often narrow the focus and lead to people taking the shortest path to get there, regardless if that involves cheating, lying, or other unethical behavior.
When student test scores are used as the basis for school funding or teacher bonuses, there's been plenty of examples of unscrupulous teachers and administrators gaming the system, from teaching to the exact test questions or allowing extra time, to even changing answers or filling in blanks for the students. Even if people try to meet these metric targets honestly, incentives can foster short-term thinking.
Rewards and punishments can sometimes produce terrific results at first, but those behaviors disappear quickly once those incentives are gone.
Offer students a prize for reading 3 books, and some might not even pick up a 4th. In 2017, NBA player Mo Harkless made headlines when he refused to shoot any more 3-pointers in the last 4 games of the season.
He just hit the 35% shooting percentage necessary to secure a $500,000 bonus that was baked into his contract. I mean, come on, can you really blame him? Why risk missing a shot and losing that?
The final reason is that rewards can become addictive. When we consistently anticipate a reward, a burst of dopamine surges to a part of our brain called the nucleus accumbens. The scary thing is, this exact same chemical behavior happens in people addicted to drugs or gambling.
We start to become dependent on the reward to perform the same activity, and as time goes on, more and more of it is needed to produce the same effect.
So there you have it, 7 ways why rewards and punishments often don't work. However,
We all need baseline rewards of salaries, wages, and benefits that are both adequate and fair. Without this healthy baseline, the monetary stresses that this causes will stamp out motivation of any sort.
rewards and punishments aren't also necessarily bad for all types of tasks, as they can improve performance in algorithmic tasks that are repetitive and follow a series of well-defined steps.
For other types of tasks, extrinsic rewards often fare a lot better when they are given unexpectedly and after the activity is already complete.
For example, surprising a child with a trip to Disneyland can be an amazing way to reward them after a great semester at school.
Perhaps it's time to rethink our approach to motivation.